Man and Machine is brought to you by HighFlex Mobile Hose Service, Shannons Insurance for Motoring Enthusiasts, and the following sponsors.
Yeah, baby!
It's unbelievable!
That's what I'm talking about.
Gareth Egan, a man who's finally found his dream machine. Gareth, it's fantastic to be here in this magnificent man cave of yours. You know, you've got your bar happening, you know, you've got it all set up here.
That's right, my friends come around quite a bit. We play some pool, have the fire going, cook sausages on the pot belly. We have an absolute ball out here.
Unbelievable. The true Aussie man shed. Get the boys over and enjoy the whole thing. It's awesome, isn't it?
That's right, yeah, it is.
But the centrepiece of your collection here is this beautiful 48 Chevy pickup. Tell us all about it.
I brought it off an old fellow out of Gosford, which is just out of Sydney. It was originally his dad's, and it was an old workhorse out on a fig farm. They pulled it in some time ago and turned it into this beautiful beast.
It is a work of art, isn't it? I mean, it's got that rat rod sort of feel about it, it's got that patina happening, it's got that rustic sort of look and feel. But it's not just an old truck, is it? There's a lot more than meets the eye here with this truck.
That's definitely right. They've actually converted it to a modern car. They've put it on a HQ chassis, 1-tonner, which has an LS1 and a 4-speed auto gearbox with a 9-inch diff, true truck diff, modern brakes, modern suspension, drives like a brand new car.
Gee, so you've really got that old school look and theme going with totally modern running gear. That's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right.
I bet it'd certainly shock a few people.
Yes, definitely.
And the LS1 engine is just an incredible engine, aren't they? They make so much power and so fuel efficient. The things just go and go and go, don't they?
Yeah, that's right. I drove it home from Sydney. It's got a 120 litre fuel tank on the back, and I got home from Sydney on 1 tank of juice.
Jeez, now that fuel tank, it's a keg, isn't it?
Yes, that's right. It is.
That's what I call a solid fuel tank, but it's got that sort of moonshiner look and feel about it too.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, the guy was very creative.
I love the name on the side too, Rusty Nut Speed Shop. Is it real or just the theme that they've gone with the build?
I think it's just the theme they've gone with the build. He had his mate signwrite it, and I think that's what they come up with at the time, and it just suits the truck.
So obviously they've gone to a fair bit of trouble to build this car. How long did it take them to build it?
He reckons 4 years in a single car garage.
So he's put a lot of effort into getting it right, a lot of blood, sweat and tears, and I suppose the connection was there with his father. It would have been pretty hard for him to let it go.
It took me quite some time to convince him to sell it to me. I kept hassling him and hassling him. And then eventually I said, name your price. He named a price. I said, I'm paying it. I'll put a deposit in your account. And here she is, in my shed now.
So you spotted the car somewhere on social media and thought, I want that truck, and hit him up, is that correct?
Yes, that's right. It was love at first sight.
So it took you quite some time to convince him?
Yeah, almost a year, I'd say, to convince him that I was serious.
Gee, but it's gone to the right home and it's got plenty of love.
Definitely. That's going to get a lot more love, that's for sure. My wife wasn't too sure of it when we brought it. Thought it was a bad decision, but now she's seen it, now she drives it. She just loves it. I can't get her out. Drives it as an everydayer.
Jeez, isn't it great to be able to jump in something like that, turn the key, turn heads as well, drive the thing everywhere? It must be an absolute pleasure for you.
Yes, it is.
The thing has got the best of both worlds. It accelerates like a gun, and cruises nicely on the highway at low cruise RPM. What a truck!
HighFlex Mobile Hose Service, your complete hose breakdown and on-site service partner. HighFlex Mobile Hose Service offers a complete range of quality guaranteed hydraulic and industrial hose and fittings products. We also specialise in preventative maintenance programs such as on-site hose condition auditing, testing and compliance. With our national fleet of qualified technicians, you can rely on HighFlex Mobile Hose Service's rapid response to all of your needs. Call 1300 HighFlex, 24 hours, 7 days a week. Do you have a hydraulic background? Come and join the dynamic HighFlex team. Check out opportunities at www.highflex.com.au.
We've always had a few cars. They're all special. The T-Bird.
Oh, that's mine.
The Combi for when we want to get away. The XR8.
It's going to be a classic.
They're all insured with Shannons,
We've also got Shannons Home and Contents cover.
which helps protect our automotive collectibles, tools and memorabilia in the home and garage. If you're motoring enthusiasts like us, it's got to be
Shannons.
Shannons, insurance for motoring enthusiasts. Call 13 46 46 for a quote.
And be sure to head to Shannons Club to see past episodes of Man and Machine and much more. Well, I'm driving this 1948 Chevy pickup truck. It's a heap of fun. They're a pretty epic truck, these things, dating back to 1947. This range went right through to 1954. It was called the Advanced Design Series. That's a pretty special name, isn't it? Now, the GM engineers went to a lot of trouble with these trucks. They went out and did a survey and asked a heap of pickup owners and also business owners what they'd like to see in a pickup or work truck. Now, one of the single biggest points they found was that people wanted more cabin space. They wanted comfortable seating and a truck that was rugged and tough that could do all types of jobs. Well, that's what they did. The cabin in this truck was far bigger than anything else that had been brought out before. And you can feel that now, it's so spacious inside. And a full 3-person bench seat. Yeah, that's what we need. Plenty of space for cruising. Now, they're a great little engine, these things. They're a 216.5 cubic inch 6-cylinder engine, and they pulled like a train for the day. They made 90 horsepower and 174 foot-pound of torque. And they did the job quite well. But this truck, it's a different story. She's full of LS1 love. The old 5.7, one of the best engines ever built and ever to come out of GM, I believe. Now, these engines are a real favourite of mine. In fact, I spent 10 years in my shop specialising in the LS engine and hotting them up and making them go fast. GM started with a clean slate. It's almost like they used everything they'd learned in their race engine experience from racing in the day and applied it to these engines. If this truck set up properly didn't run deep into the 12s, I'd be very, very surprised. Not a bad cruiser and not a bad pickup. The good thing about running a late model engine and a chassis like this is this truck drives like an absolute dream. It does actually drive like a late model car. Surely with the cab sitting on the chassis you do hear a few little rattles and creaks, but that's part of owning a pickup truck like this. Dynamically it steers well, it stops well, it's got the 4-speed overdrive 60 LE trans, so you've got awesome highway cruising with a 3.5 rear end. The thing has got the best of both worlds. It accelerates like a gun and cruises nicely on the highway at low cruise RPM. And you know what I like about it? It feels so comfortable inside. I know you're going to think I'm crazy, but for 1948, I'm really surprised. This truck feels so good seating position wise. Ergonomically, the steering wheel feels good, the gauges are right here, and the seat feels really comfy like a lounge chair. I could get used to this thing and I could drive it around the country and I reckon I'd get out feeling $1 million. What a truck! Imagine this, you've pulled up a set of lights. Someone pulls up beside you in a brand new Corvette or something fast. Then this happens. See you later, Corvette. That's what I'm talking about. An old truck that looks like this. It goes like a damn rocket ship. Yeah! You know, you can cruise along, you've just got that nice V8 rumble, that V8 note. Put your foot down. It's got everything you want, absolutely everything. Fuel efficiency, power, stopping, handling, everything you'd need in a car, except it's got this old school pickup truck look. Damn, I love this car. I'd love to own it. I want to own them all. You're probably sick of hearing that, but I can't help it. That's a disease. Now, I bet all those years ago, back in the 40s, early 50s, that the original owner of this truck never thought they'd see this thing driving around in 2016, packed full of all aluminium fuel injected V8. Unbelievable. And this poor old truck sitting in that paddock there thought its life was over. Well, it's been resurrected and it's back. Bigger and badder than ever. We're a game changer because it really was the first compact short wheelbase vehicle made in Australia with the V8 option.
Damn, there's just no room under here.
There's no need to do this anymore when you can buy a tough lift hoist starting from only $26.50. With over 20 models in their range, including 2-post, 4-post, scissor lift, motorcycle and truck. They're great for storage too. All tough lift hoists have Australian standard certification and WorkSafe design registration. With an impressive warranty, in-house technical support and installation options Australia-wide, what are you waiting for? Check out toughlift.com.au.
I love my tough lift.
SP Tools, an Australian company supplying Australians with quality tools for nearly 30 years, with a nationwide network supplying and servicing automotive, construction, trade, commercial, industrial and hardware. If you need hand tools, air tools, cordless tools, compressors, pressure washers or generators, check out www.sptools.com for the leaders in innovation. SP Tools, the Australian tool company taking tools to the world. Available in over 33 countries.
At a moment like this, you don't get a second chance to put on the right wiper blade assemblies. So always choose Trico, the wipers that come through right when you need it most. Trico wiper blades are precision engineered to perform on your vehicle so you can drive with confidence. Trico, seeing you through.
Ruben Razmosky, a man with a passion for early Aussie Valiants.
Ruben, great to be here. It seems you have a passion for Mopar.
Yep, I've had quite a few Mopars over the years. My dad had a lot of Valiants as I was growing up, had AP5s, AP6s, and the passion runs through the blood, mate.
You got two now, starting with the AP5. Tell us about that.
I bought the car from Taree, New South Wales, probably about 4 years ago. The guy that I bought it off the original owner. He advertised it on eBay and I sort of snapped it up sight unseen.
They're a pretty interesting car, the AP5, because it really was Australia's first produced Valiant, because the earlier Valiants were imported from the US and assembled here, but this was really Chrysler Australia's first attempt, wasn't it?
That's right. There's quite a few variants of a AP5 too. You got the early ones with the US firewall wipers, then you've actually got the US wipers with the flat Australian firewall, then they went to the Australian firewall with the Australian wipers as well.
And whilst there is some sheet metal shared with the US model, most of it's new, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. The bonnet and all that sort of stuff I think was fairly similar, and the front sheet metal, you know, all the roof line and stuff like that is all Australian, and the quarters and all the rear end.
And the old Valiant 6, they were an awesome engine, a real torque monster, weren't they? And yours looks like it's had a bit of work, would I be right in saying that?
Yeah, it's had quite a bit of work, Glenn. It's been taken out to about 240 cubic inches, high compression, it's got a cam, it's got a 4-barrel, 570 Street Avenger, pretty much bulletproof bottom end, and yeah, it's had quite a bit of work done to it.
They've got a small bore and such a long stroke, and that makes torque, doesn't it?
It certainly does, yeah. No, they pull like a tractor, mate. The old slants, I love them.
I used to be a member of the Slant 6 Club of America. That's how much I like them. Awesome engine.
Awesome.
Was it a ground-up resto?
Yeah, it was a full ground-up resto, Glenn. The interior was just immaculate, factory original condition. So I saved a lot of coin, kept the standard fascia, but just added autometer gauges and did a bit of a rewire and separated all the circuits, so every circuit's got a separate fuse. Body-wise, pretty much standard. Just pretty much changed the colour, changed it to a Ford colour, Ford Ego. Added some 18-inch wheels to it, bit of a shift kit in the auto and a stall. And I'm currently getting a 3.7 LSD diff built for it at the moment, which it needs, yeah.
And how does it handle?
Handles beautiful. I've set it up, yeah, so it handles the corners, go into the corners nice and fast, and yeah, it's nice and punchy with the slant.
Some people tend to say that the Valiants don't really handle that well, but it's not the case when they're set up properly, is it?
People just try and cut corners, and you know, they've got a 40-year-old steering box that's all worn out, and they wonder why the thing doesn't track straight.
Tell us about your AP6, that is spectacular.
That's the holy grail for me, mate. I've been looking for one, yeah, for years and years, since I was a kid.
They were a game changer because it really was the first compact short wheelbase vehicle sold in Australia, or made in Australia, with the V8 option, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a beginning, I suppose, as you sort of say, the supercar era. It was a beginning for Chrysler, and they sort of got the ball rolling with that car.
A lot of people look at the GT Falcon, the XR, as being the first, but it's not the case. And I feel that these cars are a little bit overshadowed by the whole aura behind the GT, but you know, Chrysler got there first, didn't they?
Yeah, they certainly did, mate, but I'd like to see more people get to know the history of the car, and you know, they're becoming more and more popular every day too.
The one thing I find too with Chrysler and Mopar is that it seems to be a very neutral brand. I find that GM and Ford, you'll get, you know, owners of those brands almost kill each other over the brand, over the loyalty to the brand, where they all seem to love Mopar.
They're a good bunch of people. You know, everyone's out to help everyone out. There's no animosity between people. It's all about the cars at the end of the day.
And your AP6, tell us how that all started.
I found it on Gumtree. I went and had a look at it. In my opinion, the guy wanted too much for it, so I walked away from it. 3 months later, I got a text message from the guy. We went out there and struck up a deal, and the following week I bought it home, mate.
What was it like?
The body was fantastic. Every panel had original paint on it. Motor was untouched. The motor had never been pulled down. Still running the original factory water pump, spark plug leads. Everything was all factory, mate, so it was just unbelievable.
So it was a perfect base, really, to restore.
It was. It was just a perfect candidate.
And was it complete?
It was, pretty much complete, mate. There were some die-cast items that were a bit second-hand and a bit ordinary, a bit pitted, which I sort of sourced really good second-hand ones off people, so...
And the little 273, great little engine.
Yeah, it just purrs like a kit, mate. I just love it.
Chrysler have always been known to make possibly the best engines, don't they, really? They did make some amazing powerhouses, didn't they, in the day?
They certainly did. You know, you got your 273s, your 318s, 340s, all up to your big blocks, your 440s, and the big elephant 426. There's
the mighty 426 Hemi.
There's a big range, mate.
And basically the car's been a ground-up restoration, is that correct?
It was a full ground-up restoration on both cars, yeah, on the AP5 and AP6, so no stone left unturned, Glenn. When I restore a car, I always like to take it back to nothing and start again. That way, you know, you get no teething problems, you get no issues. You know, you just want trouble-free motoring when you take these things out so you can enjoy them.
And how does it drive?
Like a new car, mate. It's just such a nice car to drive, just glides along.
I've always been a big fan of the AP6 V8 myself, going back to my younger days, and I must say that the front sheet metal, the car itself, reminded me of an early Barracuda. I've always been a big fan of those.
I've always, pretty much wanted a Barracuda too, and I'd tell you what, if the right one came along, I'd certainly snap it up.
Be a fantastic matching pair.
Might do it in gold too.
Absolutely. I can see why people fell in love with these things. The first AP6 Valiant V8, what a machine.
Always wanted your very own muscle car or classic? Then Image Classic Cars is your solution. Where pride, knowledge, quality and service counts for the ultimate experience. From award-winning concourse restorations to full custom builds, muscle cars to classics of all makes and models, right-hand drive conversions, even Australia-wide enclosed pickup and delivery for your pride and joy. Also currently taking orders for the spectacular Image Classic Cars Eleanor Mustang, custom built to suit your personal requirements. Image Classic Cars, live the dream. tough car needs a tough oil, and that's when you need Gulf Western Oil. It's Australian-owned, developed and manufactured in their state-of-the-art production facility. So no matter what you drive, you can be assured you're in the right hands for all your lubrication needs. Gulf Western Oil, the tough Australian.
The AP6 V8 Valiant. You know, these things were a real groundbreaking car for us here in Australia. There was nothing quite like it at the time when these babies were released in mid-1965. Now, everyone sees the XR GT Falcon as the first Australian muscle car. Well, I've got to tell you, it probably was, and it was made for that purpose, but these babies were on the scene first. Now, they really were the first compact short wheelbase car that was actually built in Australia sporting a V8. Everything else that was around in the time, like your EH and HD Holdens, your XP Falcons and what have we, only had a little inline six. They had about half the horsepower. These things absolutely blitzed them, annihilated everything else out there that was their opposition. They had 180 horsepower and they made a heap of torque very, very low on the RPM range at about 1600 RPM. That is insane. Now, interestingly, this same power plant was utilised in the VC model the year after, and they punched well above their weight against the XR Falcon with its 289 engine that was actually rated to have more power and torque. They were 0.2 of a second faster up to 60 mile per hour and about 2 seconds faster up to 100 mile per hour. Now that is a huge difference considering these engines were 273 cubic inches. They had a big disadvantage when it came to engine size, but you know what? Chrysler really knew how to build an engine, and they built this little baby really well. It was a great platform for bigger capacity with the 318 following, and then other engine capacity after that point beyond. These cars are very, very similar to the US counterparts. With the earlier models, our RV1 and SV1 here, they were directly imported from the USA and assembled here on the side. Now the AP5 was very similar to its US counterpart, but they changed most of the sheet metal. The boot compartment, or the trunk, was made larger in the Aussie models. Instead of that slope, they actually raised it, made more volume inside. The rear window was flat on these cars instead of the curve, and they made some changes to the C-pillars. But to look at the US model and the Australian model put together, they're very, very similar in appearance. Now, even more so with this AP6 model. They look very much like the American model, especially in the front sheet metal area. It's almost identical. Now, drivetrain-wise, they've got the fantastic 904 torque fly, a transmission that was way ahead of its time in the day compared to everything else we had here in Australia. The rear end with its 3.23 ratio creates a really punchy combination. So I could just imagine that people jumping out of a little inline six back in the day in Australia would have jumped into these V8s and thought, oh my goodness, maybe in another language, but the performance is so much better than anything that was around in the day. And how does it drive? Fantastic. You know, people often say that, oh, the Mopar suspension platform, the Chrysler stuff, they don't handle that well, the torsion bars. It's not true. Think about it, you've got so much less unsprung weight. You've got that torsion bar sitting low in the chassis. Sitting down, it's very light compared to a spring sitting right up high where most cars ran them. If you run the right style of torsion bar, the right sway bars, and the right suspension geometry, Mopar will actually outperform many other platforms in most cases. But people never give them a chance. It all gets too hard. They go with a platform that's easy, that they know. Now, another thing with any Chrysler platform you find is the engine combinations are always so damn bulletproof. And when you look at the all-conquering 426 Hemi, you can see the success they'd have in drag racing right up until this very day. They're an amazing deal. And I can see why people fell in love with these things. Yes, the Regal model was also a bit of a luxury model, but they did have a bit of that muscle car thing happening, that performance factor. You've only got to look at the floor-mounted shift here. It looks like something you'd see from an aftermarket performance shop of today. The gauges and everything look fantastic. I like the whole look and feel of the dash. They're just a sharp-looking car. Another thing I've noticed with this car is the seating is fantastic. Whilst it's a bit upright and I don't have a huge amount of leg room, the buckets in these cars are very, very comfortable. And they use an extremely good quality vinyl, believe it or not, on these seats to make them really nice and plush. I absolutely love it. The whole seating position, the way I feel in the car is really, really nice. Other than the fact that my legs are just a little bit too long, but hey, I'll put up with it. I'm having a ball. So you know what? The first AP6 Valiant V8, what a machine. A lot of people don't see these as being the iconic car that they really are today, because it was all about the GT Falcon, the Monaros, and what have we of that era. But you know, when you go back and you look at what this car produced back in the day and what else was available, it really was a killer machine.
Next episode, we take a look at some iconic Australian automotive history, the story of Bulwell cars. We even get to sample one of the finest existing examples of the ever popular early 70s Ford Cleveland powered Nagari. Man and Machine is brought to you by Highflex Mobile Hose Service, Shannons, insurance for motoring enthusiasts, and the following sponsors.